Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to give a complete rundown of what to expect if your child is in year one. I know a lot of children will have started year one this year. So let's get straight into it. First of all, I'm going to break it down into the different areas, starting with reading. So reading in year one is all about the children using and applying their phonics. Apart from reception, it's the beginning of their reading journey. And yes, there is a phonics test in year one, but it's not just about the phonics test, it's about the children becoming more fluent at reading. So these statements here are the ones that the teachers will be working alongside. I'm not going to talk about all of them, okay, but you can see some key ones here. Read accurately, blending sounds in unfamiliar words that contain GPCs and have been taught. So these are sounds that the children should know and should be able to apply them when they're reading. Read other words of more than one syllable that contain GPCs. Read words with contractions, I'm, I'll, will. Read aloud accurately books that are consistent with the developing phonic knowledge and that do not require them to use strategies to work out words. Reread these books to build up their fluency and confidence in reading. So really it's just about the children reading books that are age appropriate level, starting to read them more fluently and with confidence. So moving on to what the phonics would look like. This page is taken from a phonics test that the children would do at the end of the year. They do a phonics test in year one, and this is what it would look like. So you have sort of CVC words, which are words that contain a consonant, a vowel, and then another consonant. These ones that have these strange pictures next to them are called alien words, because what they're testing the children on is, can the children still apply their phonics to words that they don't recognize? So they would say something like n, op, nop, blending it together, y, I, yim, or they could just be able to read the word zeg. Okay, they're also allowed to put their sound buttons on as well, like this, if that helps them, if that's something they use in school. Here are some of the types of words that are not alien words, and you can see they get a little bit more difficult as the test goes on. So it's fled, blend it together, fled, that would be a correct read of that word. Sp, ek, okay, spec, ramp, corns. Gives you an idea of the kind of words that children will be assessed on at the end of the year. And here's the full list from, I think it's last year's phonics test. So there are 40 words in total. You can see all the different types of words they would need to be able to say in the same way you've just seen me do it. And as you can see, they get progressively more difficult. So you've got CVC words here, quite simple words. And then as we move through the words, particularly these last few here, is where they get quite tricky. So dolphin, knowing that PH is the first sound. Relay, applying their larger sounds, A, crackers. So you've got these bigger words here. And then you've got some tricky alien words like frost. So they need to be able to apply the sounds they've learnt. So knowing that O and A make the O sound. Now the pass mark for this phonics screening is 32 out of 40. And that's how many words they have to read correctly in order to pass their year one phonics check. But if they don't worry, they get another chance to take it when they're in year two. So 32 out of 40 is the pass mark. Okay, so what about other areas of reading? So like I said before, they should be developing pleasure for reading, have a range of different things they're reading, not just reading one type. So be familiar with fairy stories, traditional tales, start to recognize rhymes in poems, discuss the meanings of new words that come up, so words they've seen before. So when you're reading with your child at home, always be talking about new words that come up, and drawing on what they already know, background information. So if it's a book about going to the park, they can talk about when they went to the park once and what it was like, making inference about what is being said and done. That's a very simple inference at this stage. So if there's a picture of somebody who's crying, they can infer that they're upset, and there must be a reason why they're upset. Maybe it's a reason from the story, and they can explain that to you. But mostly you want the children to be enjoying reading for pleasure, picking up books they love, not just reading the books they take home from school, but also finding some books at home that you like to read together with them. That's really important at this stage. And then building up that fluency and understanding. Okay, here are some examples of books at the year one level. So I know these are books that we do in our school. Children use them to support with their writing as well. But anything by Julia Donaldson obviously is great. A book here called Wild. The Bog Baby is a great book. Bigu is another really good one. But these, if you have a look at these books online, these are the pitch that year one children should be able to read. So that gives you an idea of the kind of books they should be able to read in year one. Okay, so moving on to writing. And the first thing I want to say is writing in year one, although can be challenging for some children, the expectation is quite clear. So we're going to look at some writing in a minute, but essentially the children are expected to write about 8 sentences with mostly the correct punctuation. So capital letters, full stops in the right places. They know what a capital letter looks like, and they know where a full stop should go. And also maybe the odd conjunction, and I'll talk to you about what those types of words are in a minute. But looking first at spelling. So these are the year one common exception words. So these are words that the children wouldn't be able to spell necessarily using their phonics, but they just have to know how to spell them. So leaving year one at the end of the year, you would want your child to be able to spell these words. And the best thing to do is to just take 5 of these words every week and just go over them with your child. So they're getting that repeated practice. So they're the year one common exception words. Other words they can attempt to spell using their phonics. And even if it's not the correct spelling, but the sound is correct, that's okay. Again, I've talked about this already, but making sure they know the names of the letters, they know what those letters look like as capitals, and they know what those letters look like as small case as well, and the difference between the two. So handwriting, I know that a lot of parents get really into the handwriting, but it's not the most important thing about writing. But at year one, you do want to see your child being able to write the letters correctly. So things like sit comfortably at a table, holding a pencil comfortably and correctly. So they should be holding a pencil with 2 fingers and a thumb. It's called a tripod grip, and it's just something to look out for because a lot of children at this age develop bad habits, and then they're holding a pencil the wrong way for the rest of the time they're in primary school. At this point in year one, we can correct it. So just check they're holding the pencil in the correct way. Here you can see that they should be able to form the numbers correctly, form capital letters correctly, and be able to begin to form lowercase letters in the right way. Something to look out for as well is, do the letters that they're writing, do they mistake them for numbers? So often they get the B and D the wrong way round, or they write the number 6 as B, or the number 9 as a D. So just check that they're making sure that they know the difference between the letters and numbers. So what does writing need to look like in year one? Well, here are the statements that the national curriculum gives you. However, to put it in layman terms, it is essentially children writing 8 sentences about something they've done. So something they've done personally, they've been out on a day out and they can write about it, or they're writing a recount of a story they've done in class. And they're putting the capital letters and the full stops in the right places. Maybe they'll use a question mark if it's a question, but it's not essential. Or maybe they'll put an exclamation mark. Okay. They're leaving spaces between the words. They're using the capitals and small case letters correctly. And they're going to start to use some conjunctions. So conjunctions would be words like and, but, or, so. And these are just the basic ones at this point, but you can see them trying to use some of those in their writing. So what does it look like then? Because that's sometimes easier to understand. So here's an example of year one writing about that book, The Bog Baby, we were just looking at. The Bog Baby was in a field, full stop. So you've got the capital letter at the beginning, and you've got a full stop there at the end. Then they've remembered a capital letter to start their sentence. As well, a capital I. Often children will forget capital I and they'll often write a small I. So capital I found him in the field. Okay, full stop. I told the Bog Baby I made him a pie. Full stop. The Bog Baby said it was disgusting. Full stop. There was spiders' legs, comma, salads, comma, worms, comma, fish guts, blood, and eyeballs. So here you can see they've made some attempts at commas to list, which you can do in year one as well. It's not necessarily something you would see, but it's a good one for them to have a go at, particularly if they're finding writing something they're enjoying and they're good at it. The bog baby felt better, full stop. He wanted to go back to his own home, full stop. So there you can see about 8 sentences or more punctuated correctly with the capital letters and full stops in the right places. Let's look at another piece. So this is another piece of writing, year one writing. And let's have a read of this one. When we went to Warwick Castle, I was excited, full stop, capital letter. Then we went to the engine room to put our bags down, full stop. Next we climbed 100 steps, full stop. Then we climbed the tall tower I could see for miles. And look here, they've used the word IGH as a sound for miles, which is fine. You can see the teachers corrected it here with the correct sound, but that's okay. In year one, they should be applying their phonics. After we went to lunch, it was yummy. After that, we went to and then the writing obviously continues on the next page. But it gives you an idea of what your child's writing should sound like in year one. And you can see correctly punctuated again the use of sounds. Some words ending in ed, which is correct. Okay, you might see some past tense words correctly spelt. And these other words, so you've got the words next, after. These are ways that they can start their sentences. And this sounds like it's a recount of when they went on a school trip, which is the kind of writing that children in year one would be doing. Another, this is the same piece, just carrying on. And here you can see we've got the birds flew over my head and in the trees. So you've got a use of an and there, okay, and another one here. So you should be seeing some use of conjunctions in their writing as well. So that gives you an idea of year one writing. Let's move on to maths. Now, maths tends to be easier for most children in year one. I'm just going to go through the basic things of what your child should be learning. Count to and across 100. So they should be able to count up to 100 and go forwards and backwards, beginning with 0 or 1 from any given number. So if I said start at 23, count forwards, 24, 25, 26, and they should be able to do that. Count, read, and write numbers to 100 in numerals. Count in multiples of 2s, 5s, and 10s. Now, in year one, they don't have to learn any of their times tables, but they do have to learn to count in 2s, 5s, and 10s. Okay, so a good way of doing it is like as a game, you know, I'm going to say a number, then you're going to say a number, and we're going to go all the way to 20. Given a number, identify one more or one less. That should be straightforward. So what's one less than 50? 49. Okay, what's one more than 50? 51. So check your child knows that. And then be able to use the terms equal to, more than, less than, most and least. Read and write numbers from 1 to 20 in numerals and in words, so they can recognize the words as well as the numbers. So if I said the number 12, they can see that. They know that's number 12, and they can match the number up with the word. Okay, let's have a look. What else? So then addition and subtraction, you're looking at them knowing their number bonds to 20. So what do we add to 12 to make 20? We add 8. What do we add to 10 to make 20? We add 10. Solve one-stop problems that involve addition and subtraction. So they are allowed to use concrete objects, which is like using counters or cubes to help them. So 7 equals something minus 9. So something where they're working out this. Okay, so they've got to try and work out problems like that. Multiplication, division, I've kind of already talked about, but it's all about them being able to count in 2s, 5s, and 10s. So make sure that they can do that. Do it in songs, chant it. Just regular practice really will help with that. Fractions, they only need to know and recognize a half, a third, a quarter, and 2/3. And that's at the end of year 2, bearing in mind. So in year 1, they might only be looking at halves and quarters. in objects, shapes, and quantities. So can you give me half of the sweets? If I had 10 sweets, can they give you half of those? Can they colour in a quarter of these shapes? So that's what you'd expect a year one child to do in relation to fractions. And then sort of quantity problems. It's all about looking at things, circling the largest, the heaviest. So here you can see a problem. Alex finds the mass of some items, circle the lightest item, sorry. Here you've got match the glasses to the statements. The glass is nearly full. The glass is full. So it's those kinds of things to do with measurement. And in more detail, you can see some points here. So weight, heavier, lighter, full, empty, less than, more than half. And it's really important that you look at this stuff in a practical sense. So baking and cooking is a good way of doing it. Time, you don't need them to tell the time really. O'clock, you could start talking about half past. But you're looking at quicker, slower, earlier, later. And can they identify the minutes and hours and seconds? And do they know them? Can they identify the hands on the clock? Sequence events, so can they put things in order? And that links to their writing. And look, it says tell the time to an hour and half past. So it's just o'clock and half past in year 2. Shape. So to do with shape, you've got, can they recognize 2D and 3D shapes? So 2D shapes would be these ones: square, rectangle, hexagon, triangle. They don't need to know all of these. Some of the more tricky ones like heptagon, maybe they wouldn't need to necessarily know in year 1, but definitely in year 2. And then looking at the 3D shapes: cylinder, cone, pyramid, cube, cuboid. Can they recognize those? Finally, geometry, position and direction. They can describe a movement. So they use these things called B-bots, which they can program, also in their computing lessons, to go in different directions. So do they understand the terms left and right, forwards and backwards? Can they make it do a half turn, a full turn? And you can play this game in the house, I want you to move forward 3 steps. I want you to do a half turn. I want you to move forward 4 steps. Where do you end up? So it's a good way of just using this language. And that's all it is in year 1, being able to use that language at this point. Okay, guys, last thing to say is thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If your child is going into year 1, there you have a summary of what they would need to know by the end of the year. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos on primary education. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.